Hello and welcome everyone to All the Rage Sports Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Drew Brees' injury, Big Ben's injury, Eli being benched, Nick Foles' injury, how that affects all the it's just basically a QB show today. We're going to talk about some of the recent trades in the league, how this is changing the scope of the NFL, and of course, we're going to go over our week 2 picks and make our week 3 picks. This all coming at you on All the Rage Sports Podcast. All right, and welcome everybody. So today I want to start off the show with just kind of doing a brief run over. We had our week 2 picks. We had a 3-way tie. 3 of us, me, Kevin, and Jace, all ended 11-5 for the week. Bucks over the Panthers on Thursday night. Cowboys beat up on the Redskins. Colts beat the Titans just by 2. Seahawks pulled out one against the Steelers. Bills over the Giants, the struggling Giants. Texans over the Jaguars. Patriots just slobber knocked the Dolphins. Packers over the Vikings. Lions squeaked one out over the Chargers. 49ers just destroyed the Bengals. Ravens over the Cardinals. Chiefs over the Raiders. Of course, the Rams beat the Saints due to the lovely Drew Brees injury. Bears squeak one out against the Broncos, and Falcons over the Eagles, which that one surprised me myself. And then, of course, the Browns over the 4th-string Jets. So looking at our picks, like I said, I finished the week at 11-5. Jace finished the week at 11-5, and Kevin finished at 11-5. Andy coming up the rear, 8-8. Rude.
Took
Kevin.
a lot of shots.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you were boring the fuck out of me.
All right, so the year standings right now go as follows. Kevin, you are 22-9-1. I am 21-10-1. Jace is coming up the rear at 18-13-1, and Andy dropped a little bit at 19-12-1. So we'll see what week 3 holds for everybody.
So basically, suck it, bitches.
Yes, so Kevin's up there a whole 1 game ahead of me.
One bad week. I'm on my way back.
Don't you worry.
Done.
Consistency, bro. Consistency. All right, so guys, I want to start off. Obviously, Drew Brees' injury was huge in that game. It happened early. It looked like he hit his thumb off of. I remember who the defensive lineman was.
Aaron Donald.
It was Donald. Okay, thank you. Hit the thumb off of Donald. You saw it on the sideline. The thing was like black, his thumb, and he couldn't even grip a ball at that point. So I guess my real question is, Brees being out, he had this surgery. There's people saying 6 weeks. There's people saying 8 weeks. There's people saying 10 weeks. There's people saying he could be out the rest of the season. What does this mean for the Saints going forward? Kevin, I'll start off with you.
Well, first off, it means that his thumb was black because they fucking put black tape on his thumb, you moron.
No, but I'm saying it was bruised all to hell. He tore a ligament in it.
Yeah.
He had it all. They had
blue.
a sleeve
purple.
over the thumb that went to the wrist.
I saw it. It was up to his thumb, and his thumb was purple.
What it means for the Saints is that basically they're going to have to try and get, if he can make it back in 6 weeks, they still can get in the playoffs. I mean, Carolina's ass. Jameis Winston's the worst quarterback in the history of quarterbacks. And the Atlanta Falcons are up and down. So they still have a shot at winning the division, getting into the playoffs. But they're going to need to bring home at least 2 out of these next 6 games. If they can manage to do that, that would put them at 5 losses on the season.
Right.
And give Brees a chance to come in and get him the rest of the way home. But he'd have to be back and ready to go top flight.
Right. Anyway, what do you think?
Actually, I've been thinking of a different aspect of this, and this is Teddy Bridgewater actually like a starting NFL quarterback? I mean, he did pretty well with the Vikings.
But that's what we're talking about after Drew Brees.
No, but he makes a good point.
Yeah,
though,
is he worthy of starting in the NFL? He's trying to make a case for himself with the New Orleans Saints right now. I mean, we're going to see if, maybe next year free agency picks up, maybe because he only has a 1-year deal.
Well, right now he's the highest paid backup quarterback in the league. So
absolutely. They signed him
they gave Jacoby Brissett $15 million a year.
That's a good point, but he's now a starter, so that doesn't count.
No, he's still a backup.
No, not really. Can't really be a backup to a retired guy.
He's still a backup.
But anyhow,
all right, go on. Yeah. Sorry.
Teddy Bridgewater's playing for his life right now. I mean, so we're going to see what he makes of it. He's playing for money next year.
Do you think this team can win the games without Brees and with
Stop trying
Teddy
to do flute and make points at the same time?
Well, do you think he can win games like, if Teddy Bridgewater was in that game week 1 down with seconds left in the game, do you think they won that?
Absolutely not. I mean, he's been in the offense for 2 years now, but he's still not Drew Brees.
That was a close game against a good team. They still have, like I said, they're going up against Tampa Bay, Carolina in their division. So I don't know how many of those games will happen over the next 6 weeks, but that's all he has to do is be able to win 1 or 2 of those.
Okay, I got you. Jace, what do you think?
I think this defense isn't good enough to carry Teddy Bridgewater, even with a Cam Newton who apparently re-injured his foot during the Buccaneers game, a Jameis Winston who I don't think he can throw to anybody that wears a Buccaneers uniform.
I think he's colorblind.
And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I did not watch the Falcons-Eagles games, and I do not understand how the Falcons won. Like, I haven't watched a single highlight. I don't know what happened.
It was a lucky screen pass to Julio. The coverage broke down. Yep. They got 1 block, and Julio was gone.
Was it like 60 yards or something?
Because, like my fellow podcast members have mentioned, sometimes I am, in bed at 9 o'clock because I am a grandfather. But
me as well.
As far as I'm concerned, I think as crazy as it sounds, if Sean Payton can make the Teddy Bridgewater and sprinkle in some Taysom Hill and kind of keep people guessing, maybe the Swiss Army knife of NFL quarterbacks. Yeah, maybe something could happen, but I don't think this defense is good.
He's like a talented Cordell Stewart.
They're not going to win any important, Drew Brees, 40 to 48, whatever shootouts where you got to score 5 touchdowns to win.
They have to start Taysom Hill in the Wildcat every play, every game.
Why don't they run the wishbone? They have 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
3. What was Steve's favorite play? 4 quarterbacks on the field all at once, or something like that.
He said 3, but you send 1 out to wide receiver. I don't know what his plan was from there, but I'll bet you it was devastating.
Yes. Okay, so that leads me in a little more. So, do you think this team is still the division favorite, even if Brees is out for the minimum? He's out for 6 weeks. He come back. His hands at full strength. He's playing great. Is this team still the division favorite? Kevin?
It's going to be close. Like I said, the only team that has the quarterback to even get themselves into the conversation for the division is going to be the Atlanta Falcons. Mm-hmm. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers are already out. Cam's not going to be – I don't think Cam's going to be playing too much this year. I think they're going to end up having to pull the plug on Cam for a while. And he may end up being the next Andrew Luck. Jameis, again, he is pretty bad for a running back. To reverse the Lamar Jackson phrase. But so I think, you've got to give him a shot if Brees is coming back in 6 weeks.
Andy, what do you think? Are they still a division winner in this?
I actually think they still are a division winner in this. I mean, because it all depends on when Drew Brees comes back and if Teddy Bridgewater is an NFL caliber starting quarterback. Right. I mean, that's 90% of it. I mean, that's all. I mean, their defense is what it is. But is Teddy Bridgewater good enough to bridge the gap until Drew Brees comes back? That's all it is.
Well,
bridge the gap.
I see what you did there. Well, I mean, this defense was a heavy hitter defense near the end of the season last year. So does that mean they just got to kind of get to that form, or what do you think they're going to do? I'm asking you, Andy.
Okay, I didn't know if you were going to Jace now. I think there is a lot of pressure on this defense right now because they are going to have to win these football games if Teddy Bridgewater doesn't get it together.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a Bears defense. It's going to, if you get 10 points, you win. Teddy Bridgewater is going to have to put up some points to win games.
Yep.
And I think that's all of it. I mean,
yep. What do you think of
dry?
Jace?
Pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to try this a little bit differently so I don't put Kevin to sleep. I'll try my stats a little bit differently this time. I consulted Bria, who she was at one point an athletic trainer in her life. She said Brees is out 6 to 8 weeks. She thinks maybe 7. So here, if you figure 6 weeks, here's their schedule. They have the Seahawks this week, Cowboys, Buccaneers, Jags, Bears, and Cardinals are their next 6 games. How do you think? Yeah, maybe I see a loss to the Seahawks. I see a loss to the Cowboys. Maybe, if depending on which Jameis shows up, a win against the Bucs or a loss, that can go either way. Gardner Minshew, depending on his pregame routine, I really don't know.
It's a tire.
That can go either way. I'm going to give that edge to the Saints, like Jesse was just putting on the screen. The Bears are going to spank their asses, and they'll probably beat the Cardinals, so 3-3. In that stretch, the matter of the fact is will Drew Brees be effective when he comes back and give them a chance to make a run to the playoffs?
Am I mistaken in saying they had their bye week after that 6-game stretch?
Let me look at it right here.
Because I want to say that they were talking about week 10.
No, it looks like, and forgive me, the platform I'm on doesn't give me bye weeks, but I think it's 3 weeks after the Cardinals game.
Okay.
So they have a late bye.
Yeah.
So do you think he comes back before their bye week, I guess?
I think yes, but I mean, you looked at everybody saw the highlight of him trying to pick up a football on the sideline, and he
couldn't do it.
He got it. He couldn't even get it to his knee, and he already dropped the damn thing.
Yep.
If you're a right-handed quarterback, the thumb is the one thing you need on your hand to be able to grab a hold of the damn ball. And if you can't squeeze on it, you're fucked.
Okay,
There's
so
no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Final thing here, I guess. One, I want to make sure that I mention this. At the beginning, before week 1, I made the bold prediction that there is going to be an injury to an all-star team that's going to ruin their Super Bowl chances. And I said specifically, I'm thinking the Saints.
But you said it was going to happen week 1, so you were wrong.
No, I didn't say it was going to happen week 1. I
No,
said it's going to be
you
early
said it was
in
gonna
the
happen.
You did say week 1.
Let's
but
rewind
honestly,
the tape.
I will say this, as accurate as his prediction was, we'll give him week 2. He was a week off.
I was a week off. All right. Deal with it. So, I mean, the general consensus is that they think that he can go 500 without Brees. I guess, real quick, last little thing. Should they start Bridgewater or should they start Taysom Hill? Because I have always been impressed with his play. They use him sparingly, but the guy can pass. The guy can catch. He could throw a pass to himself.
He's a special teams phenom as well.
He's like back in NCAA video games when those were a thing, where you just signed a guy because he was a good athlete and you put him at every position until you figured out what you wanted to put him at. Just to see what his overall
They were always
was.
a safety.
Yeah, they were always a safety or a cornerback. So, I mean, Bridgewater, how long do you think they give him? If he starts stinking up a storm, loses 2 in a row, do you think they throw Hill in there?
Well,
Kevin, what do you think?
We do need to get moving here, but real quick, I will say that Teddy Bridgewater also has a very long injury history, so we might only be talking about that for this week because he might be hurt by the end of the next week.
That's true. This is true.
Personally, I think that they have way too much money invested in Teddy Bridgewater to go straight to Taysom Hill already. So, I mean, they're going to try him out for at least his trial is 6 weeks or whatever it may be.
Right.
I think, Teddy, like Kevin did point out, Teddy Bridgewater was the guy who blew out almost every ligament in his knee just on a drop back.
His
Was
leg was
disconnected.
disconnected.
Yeah,
from his body.
he went to plant and there was just nothing left anymore. So it'll be interesting to see if he stays healthy, but I do think it will be interesting to see because we've already seen Sean Payton has a love affair with Taysom Hill. So
Yeah.
True. All right, so we're going to move on to the next QB that has a major injury. Lovely Big Ben has the tendon in the elbow, had to have season-ending surgery. I guess what I want to start on...
Go fuck yourself, Jace.
Is this injury something that you think
I hope
lingered?
Derek Carr gets herpes.
That's not going to stop him from playing. It's just going to make his jock itch. You see what I did there? Okay, anyway. So here's what I was thinking about this whole thing with Ben. I feel like this injury started in training camp. And I feel like it bothered him. And I don't want to blame the 0-2 start completely on him. But I'm starting to think that it reached its peak during that Seahawks game. And he was injured for that whole Patriots game. I'm not saying we could have won that because we looked like trash on all sides of the ball. But I'm saying that I think that this 0-2 start had a big part in because of that injury. And I think it was lingering for a while. What do you think, Kevin? What do you think about this injury? What's it mean for the Steelers?
The injury, and they've already come out and said that this has been something that has been an issue comfort-wise for him going back to last season. It's UCL, and basically it's Tommy John surgery is what he's having done.
Yep. That's a huge one in the baseball.
On some of the other shows they're talking about this week was that this is something, the reason why he might have had the discomfort and not had to immediately go get the surgery and was able to go this long is because of the fact that in football, you're not throwing, you're not going for the 100-mile-an-hour throw on every throw. You got touch passes, you've got lob passes. So it's not like baseball. So you can go a lot longer with that kind of a deal. I don't think it has anything to do with 0-2. I think 0-2 has to do with the fact that they've been trying to get too cute on offense and not going with what has won them games in the past. I think basically this just was, it got to the point now where he can't ignore it anymore, and it was time to get it done.
Right. What do you think, Andy? What's it going to mean to the Steelers?
Kevin hit the nail right on the head. I mean, it's been lingering. The Steelers have to stick to their bread and butter. They have to do what they got to do to get stuff done. They can't be getting cutesy. And I mean, Mason Rudolph obviously had that beautiful flea flicker, but I mean, they have to start moving the ball. Man. Yeah,
I miss the days of Ken Wisenhunt with all those friggin' double reverse flea flickers and like the crazy shit he would do. I miss it.
Yeah, but Kevin hit the nail right on the head. I mean, I can't say it any better than that.
What do you think, Jace? What's this mean for the Steelers?
Kevin is wrong, and although when I did see the injury firsthand as somebody who threw a lot of curveballs in baseball and has seen I've watched a lot of baseball and I've seen guys, he didn't take any hits. As soon as I saw him grabbing his elbows, as soon as he threw the ball, I went, he's got something, ligament damage, something in there that's been brewing for years. Mm-hmm. And then, 2-3 plays later, he was still grasping at his elbow. I immediately thought Tommy John because somebody who's thrown that repetitive motion time again, that's usually what has happened. But Ben actually put out in his statement that he intends to return next year. And I saw a report, I believe it was from Ian Rappaport. I can't find it at the moment. He's not having Tommy John surgery. It is his reconstructive surgery of his elbow. If it was Tommy John surgery, he would be out. He would be out over a year. So that would be opening day next year. It would be put him out past
probably a year and a half
I think
to
it's
2 years.
16 months, I think, isn't it?
He's not having Tommy John surgery. He is having surgery on his UCL, I believe, but it is not expected to have him out more than a year, and it is not Tommy John surgery.
Okay.
No, well, that's contrary to what I had heard going into this
I think that
morning.
was pre-reports were saying Tommy John, but I didn't realize that was the post report saying.
I'm gonna look to verify that because, like I said, I did play 9 holes of golf and I have been drinking tonight, but I know I saw that, so I'm gonna look.
Okay, well, obviously, with Ben going down, it's kind of we've seen Ben work through many injuries before. And, the Steelers have gone usually about 500 without him. And he's come back in and played. We've seen him play with a friggin' walking boot. We've played, with all types of different injuries. And he's gone out there. He had broken ribs the one time he played. He had that collarbone thing that was like, it was like dislocated or something and loose in its slot or some bullshit.
Bone spur somewhere.
Yeah,
his foot or something.
Yeah, he had so much shit, and he's played through it all. And this is kind of the first big injury that's made him so he can't play. So,
besides the motorcycle wreck,
besides the time he rode his face on the concrete,
that was bad.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to get at here is, Mason Rudolph is now going to be stepping in. Obviously, they have a lot of faith in him. They spent this 3rd-round pick. He won the backup job this year. They traded away Jobs. They traded away Dobbs earlier in the season, which said they had a lot of faith in there. And he looked great coming into that game, especially someone that hadn't had any starting experience. He looked bad like the first 3 passes. Moncrief screwed up a play, and then he was on fire after that. I think he completed like 13 passes in a row after that. So how do you think this team is going to do? Are they a 500 team? Are they a below a 500 team? Is this a team that can still push for the division? Chase, go.
May I interject for just 1 second?
Yeah.
I wasn't dreaming shit. Ian Rappaport tweeted yesterday on one note on the looming elbow surgery for Ben Roethlisberger. The procedure he's having is not Tommy John, and the recovery is not as long as that would be. His stated goal is to be ready for next season.
Okay. So, Kevin, what do you think of Mason Rudolph? How is this team going to rally around him? And do you think this is still a playoff team?
I think it's a playoff team. I don't think they're going to go very far into the playoffs. I think they're still a division-winning team. They would have won that game on Sunday had it not been for Dante Moncrief basically handing a defender a football. They were driving down that was Mason just starting out, driving down the field. He was very successful throughout the rest of the game driving down the field. So, I mean, they could have possibly been 1-1 except for Dante Concrete.
Mm-hmm.
And
bouncing it off his skull.
Yeah. And I think the Steelers have faith in him as more than just faith in him as the eventual successor. I think they have faith in him for this year, as evidenced by the fact that they went ahead and went with the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade.
I was going to
try and get the defense more in line for this season, giving up 1st-round pick for next year. When, if say Mason didn't work out, you could, and you had a bad season, your pick would have been pretty high up there, and you could have got one of these top flight quarterbacks. Now they may end up still being able to get one in the 2nd round. In this heavy of a quarterback draft class coming in, this is probably one of the heaviest quarterback draft classes I've ever seen. But I think they definitely are putting all their chips in the Mason Rudolph basket.
Yeah. What do you think, Andy? How do you feel about Mason?
It's supposed to be eggs in the basket.
Sing his praises, Andy. Do it.
I'm not going to sing his praises, but I am going to state the fact that Tommy Maddox in 2004, in 2004, went down in the 2nd game of that season and went
in the
down
first half.
In the first half of that game during that season. But I don't see it coming to fruition the way that did. This could be a wild card team. I mean, I think the Browns look like
Dog shit?
Had their
They have no offensive line and can't block anybody on defense?
No, but I mean,
You shut your
OBJ
fucking mouth.
looked good. Come on. OBJ looked good. But I think this is a wild card team. I don't know how far they go. I mean, that team was a wild card team too, so we'll see.
Jace, what do you got?
I'm gonna say I just did this and take a drink of beer for the phrase that's about to leave my mouth. Get ready. I think Mason Rudolph and James Washington could possibly lead this team to a wild card berth.
Wow.
We've talked about this.
And I have said it I've talked about it for a long time. Like I told Andy, me and him were very big Mason Rudolph fans when he came out of college. He played Big 12
I was huge on him.
With Lincoln
I thought he should have been the
Riley.
backup last year.
He played at Texas. He played against Texas Tech, against Cliff Kingsbury. He's a quarterback that is very suited for where the offense of the NFL is headed nowadays. And so is James Washington. And that's what it hurts me to say, but that's what kind of scares me. I think if Randy Fichtner is a little adaptive, they could get really creative with this, do some things with James Conner, Jalen Samuels, even Barry Snell, and sort of turn this into a 5 wide. You got a second-year quarterback. Why not just go for it?
Yeah.
Your Ben's on the shelf for the year. Give this kid the keys to the offense. Give him an offense that he can run, and
go nuts.
They're going to have to do this sort of Sean McVay,
go wild.
Nagy, everybody else offense. So we'll see how they adapt. If Mason Rudolph plays as well as I believe he can, they could be a wild card team.
Absolutely.
Well, one thing too that'll be very interesting to see is if Ben continues what he did this preseason and then throughout the remainder of the second game, is when he wasn't playing, he was very integral in what they were doing on offense. He was helping get plays called in during the preseason when I was there for the Chiefs game. He had the headset on and the offense is out there. He was giving Mason all of his signals, letting them know what they needed to do. If Ben gets his hands in this pie, I think that would make it a lot more successful because Ben's always been really good when he was out there calling his own plays.
Right.
The last thing I wanted to add real quick, too, is one of the reasons I think they're going to be successful is I have no faith in the Browns, no faith in the Ravens, and the Bengals are terrible.
Absolutely.
If you don't believe in Baker and Lamar Jackson, you're an idiot.
Let me just say Lamar Jackson's stats right now are better than Patrick Mahomes. Let me just say that.
Who they play?
He hasn't played anybody, but
he hasn't played anybody. I completely agree with you. I'm just saying I'm not a Lamar Jackson believer at all. But yes, she showed a graphic today when I was watching NFL Live. They're almost exactly the same on completions and touchdowns and everything. QBR rating.
Well, we'll see. We'll see who wins this week.
But forget about Lamar Jackson. Forget about that. Here's my thing about Mason Rudolph. I think that this may be the last season for Ben. And the reason I say that is I think Mason's going to have a fantastic season now. I think they're going to simplify the offense just enough and give him high quality, high percentage completion plays. He's going to make some improvisational shit like Ben did his rookie year, because we already saw that on the touchdown pass to Vance McDonald with his 3 pump fakes and then sidearm throw. He can do that kind of stuff. He reminds me a lot of Ben his rookie season. He's not going to put up 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, but he's going to do exactly what he needs to be done. I think that after this season, the Steelers are going to come to a crossroads. Tomlin's contract is going to be up. He's got to be renewed. Are they going to re-sign him? Are they going to go with Mason over Ben? I'm worried Ben's going to get traded after this season. I don't want to see that because I love Ben, but I have a weird feeling that this is going to be the case at the end of this. Jace.
We need to move on, but I want to make one point. The 2 highest players, the highest paid players on your roster.
The 2 highest players.
the two highest paid players on your roster this
Well,
year.
they probably are the highest
Le'Veon
players
Bell
too.
and Garrett Blunt don't play for him anymore.
Yeah, Le'Veon
The
Bell.
highest paid player you have on your roster is Ben. I believe is slated to make $23 million this year, and Antonio Brown is making $21 million this year. Ben Roethlisberger never has to pick up a football ever again and put a jersey on for you guys, and I believe he makes. I can't remember the exact fact, but it's somewhere.
It was something like $53
$50 million.
million.
Yeah.
And you guys basically have to give him that as a parting gift and say thanks for everything. So
Yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't expect to see him next year.
I have to say, I just want to put this in there. If I don't know who the reporter who did the report with Mason Rudolph is, but everybody needs to watch or read that because he talks a lot about the offense and a lot about Ben taking.
It was like 5 things you didn't know about Mason Rudolph or something like that.
No.
I read one of those today.
Okay, I'll send it to you guys. I'll send it to you guys. Go.
Anyway, so we're going to move on from the Steelers. I think this team could still be well. I think Ben's last year. I think we all kind of decided a lot on that. Eli Manning now being sat for Daniel Jones. We all kind of said it was going to happen, but we weren't sure when it was going to happen. Some of us said, like I myself, saying that they have too much faith in Eli. They're going to wait till midseason. Some of us, like Kevin, said real early. I think we all kind of were up and down. But we all thought that Daniel Jones was going to start at some point this time this year. So week 3, here it is. He's ready. I heard them talk on the radio about how Eli and Daniel Jones were like sitting at lunch and he got word that he wasn't starting and it didn't even seem to faze him. He was just like, oh, okay. And then continued on with his day. Is this a desperation move because they already don't look good and they don't think they're going to do well and they want to get him playing time? Or is this something like, all right, Eli's not our best chance to win now. Daniel Jones is. We need to get him in there, get him playing so we can win games and break that 500 mark. What do you think, Kevin?
Well, I think the reason Eli took it so well is because everybody saw this coming. He was done with his career before last season started. So it's time
when he was sat for Geno Smith.
Yeah, it's time to get Daniel Jones in there. Get a good 14 games out of him. You'll know exactly what you have, and you can go from there. If he sucks as bad as Eli, then that means you got another good early round pick for next year to try again. Mm-hmm. If at first you don't succeed, just keep getting early first round picks.
That's right. Andy, what are you thinking here?
I'm not going to say too much on this other than Eli looked directly at Daniel Jones and said, "This is your plane. You fucking crash it."
Touche.
No, this is your plane. The offensive line's going to crash you.
Well, hey. We're a little too close to the anniversary, September 11th, to talk about New York and planes now, guys. Calm down.
Well, way to just take it there. I
mean, wow, you took it there.
Way to be
you shouldn't have done that, Andy.
Please, what are you going with? Andy pretty much hit it on the head. It's Daniel Jones and Saquon. And if you want to throw Sterling Shepard in there, sure, whatever. Against the rest of the NFC East and the rest of the NFL, and it's not going to end well.
Golden Tate comes back in 2 weeks.
If you wanted to see how ACC quarterbacks worked out, you should have just looked at Mitch Trubisky, and you can see everything he's doing this year. And, you got one guy that played at North Carolina, and you got one guy that got drafted that played out of Duke. If you draft a quarterback from a basketball school, he's not going to be any damn good.
No.
Tiki Barber, the one thing he said about Daniel Jones is that he's definitely a very smart quarterback, he said, because they don't care so much with the basketball side, but on the football side, he said they're all smart guys that are on the football team for Duke. He said he wasn't smart enough to get into Duke, so Daniel Jones is definitely at least has some intelligence.
They have the fucking the tutors and everything getting the basketball players by so they don't have to worry about grades. Football team, they're like, we don't give a shit. You guys got to have 3.5 GPAs.
Yeah, nobody's coming to watch Duke football, so you better get in here on an athletic or on a
academic scholarship.
And,
Yeah,
I will give Daniel Jones this. He played on a horrible football team at Duke, and he's walking into, at least he's got, like I said, he's got Saquon. That's about all he's got.
He's in one of the bigger market teams now, and he's running the show. But do you think this improves the team, or do you think they're still going to stay on this path of poor defense, strong running game, but that's it? Like, do you think Daniel Jones can bring anything to the table to improve this squad's chances at making the playoffs?
No, this is the Detroit Lions of the 90s and early 2000s. There's no offensive line, so you've got a very talented running back who can still create something, but you're going to have a quarterback back there who's fighting to stay on his 2 feet. Yeah. So he's not going to be successful. It's going to look a lot like Detroit, and they'll go a whole lot of nowhere.
Yeah. What do you think, Andy?
That's it. This is the Joey Harrington Lions.
Rodney Pete. Scott Mitchell.
Anything to add in there, Jace?
I do want to touch on one thing Kevin said earlier. Like, he did admit just about Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was kind of the guy
Barry.
That started this fun. He was the guy that started this early retirement trend before everybody else.
Yep.
And I think you're going to see guys like Saquon. He's on a bad team. He just gets beat up and he says to hell with this.
Well, we're gonna talk about that later in the segment, but I don't think that's gonna be the case anymore.
but like Kevin said, like he touched on earlier, like Cam Newton is another guy. I think you're gonna see a lot of these guys just start being like, you know what, I'm gonna bow out, stop taking an ass beating, and just take my money and ride into the sunset.
Yep.
Just call it a day. So.
Yep. Quick note I want to add. I saw a thing the other day that said, things that happened the last time Brees, Ben, and Eli weren't starting. Yeah. And it was Brett Favre was the starting quarterback of the Packers. Ushers and Alicia Keys, my boo, was top of the charts at that time. There was some crazy shit on there. I was like, wow, that's insane. I never really thought about that. That's got to be 2003.
My first experiences of being a Raider fan once we lost the Super Bowl was Drew Brees and LaDainian Tomlinson until he got traded. So
right,
yeah, that was right about that time. Was when 2004 was when they all got drafted.
Yep.
We're living in strange times.
Quick aside, I do just love the way that Andy gets the just embarrassed dad face every time the dogs get loud.
Dogs bark. Yeah.
Oh, it pissed me off like no other.
The embarrassed dad face. You've already got the embarrassed dad down and you don't have any kids.
We're going to start making you do the podcast in your shed.
I just bought a Benelli on Saturday. So.
You know what? We'll get him a dog kennel and a dog house. And that's where you can do the podcast.
Too much work. Benelli is easy. That's horrible.
But yeah, so
PETA has just signed into this podcast.
We're shut down.
So a lot of big teams, like I said, losing their starting quarterbacks. There's a lot of backups starting in this league. Another one, not so big named or anything, but another big one we can talk about is the Jaguars and Nick Foles. They spent all this money on him in the offseason. Week 1, he breaks his collarbone. And then we have Gardner Minshew come in, the third. Sorry, got to make sure I add that.
Yeah.
So he comes in, and I think Kevin, you had a bit about Gardner.
Yeah,
here you
I want to talk about.
Just give it over to you.
I wanted to talk about Mr. Gardner Minshew III because he is right now. He's the most interesting man in the NFL. He is. First off, let's start with the name Gardner Minshew III. There isn't a first or a second. There's nobody in his family named Gardner. For some reason, they decided he was the Gardner Minshew III. We have found out this week. First off, he shows up to start in his first career NFL game dressed like a porn star from the 70s.
I'm all
Ron
about that,
Jeremy's fluff actor.
And then we find out this week that his pregame habit is to get a good pregame stretch in the locker room, jockstrap only. So everything about this guy screams success. I mean, I am very high on Gardner Minshew. I think he is going to be one of the next big things as far as young quarterbacks. He almost led Washington State. Who the fuck is Washington State in the
Cougars.
Pac-12 anymore? They've never been in the conversation in the Pac-12, and he almost took them into the playoffs last year. And I think that he's just gonna. You give him a little bit of time. He put up damn good numbers in the first game. He had 213 yards and a touchdown last week in a big defensive struggle with the Texans, who are a very good team. So I think you get him in a couple of these games where it's a good matchup for him, and you'll see him start to put up some numbers.
Right. Yep. Anything, Dad? Andy? Jace?
I don't give a fuck about Gardner Minshew, but Kevin, that picture you're referencing, he actually tweeted in March of this year when Ryan Fitzpatrick had his whole deal going on at the end of last
Teen
year.
Wolf.
That's an old picture. Yeah. He didn't step off the plane looking like that. You're just wrong all the fucking time. So.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So.
Anyway, so I mean, for the Jags, I didn't believe in this team. We all were like, well, maybe their defense will go back to that one year when they were good, and it's just not seeming that way. And that kind of leads me into our next topic. What is with the league right now and this giant influx of anybody that's upset gets to go, I want out, I want to trade, and it seems to be happening like crazy since Le'Veon, AB, we had Mika Fitzpatrick go to the Steelers because of this. AB with his friggin' fits about, I'm going to the Bills, I'm not going to show up, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to show up. I'm not going to play. So then he goes to Oakland for less. Then he doesn't want to show up, but doesn't want to play, and gets released so he can go to the Patriots, which seems like that was the plan all along. But there's a crazy influx in this league. And Jace, I want to get you on this topic. What do you think about this integrity of? There's no more player loyalty anymore. There's no more. It's no more about us as a whole. It's about me. What does this look like to you?
And you all know I'm a very old school type of guy, but at the same time, I see this from both sides of the ball. I understand where if you want a competitive balance in the league, you can't have every time you get a good player on a bad team, he's like, fuck you, get rid of me. Like the NBA, where you get players like Paul George, who the Thunder underperformed this year, and he decided, okay, I'm going to opt out of my player option, and I'm going to force you to trade me where I want to go. And him and Kawhi Leonard basically held the Clippers hostage. I do think, I hate to say it, I think you're going to see that more in the NFL, where you're going to see guys teaming up, and you're going to see, a lot more, because guys work out together in the off season and stuff like that. There's going to be a lot more, hey, me and you would be good together. If you're on offense, I'm on defense. Let's go meet each other in Pittsburgh or New England or wherever it may be. You know what I mean? You're going to see more of that, and unless the league and the owners band together and just say, hey, like the Jalen Ramsey thing is a perfect example. You come out and you say, hey, we're sucking. I don't want to play for this team anymore. You're either going to give in to him or you're going to trade him away. And at some point, the owners are going to have to say, hey, we're just not going to give in to these demands. Otherwise, it is going to be like the NBA, and it's going to be everybody meet up here, and we're going to win a couple Super Bowls, and then we'll all disband and go get contracts and figure out what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like players are starting to hold owners and GMs hostage now. And that's literally what AB did when he was traded. He held the team hostage and waited till he got what he wanted. Now, obviously, now it seems like his whole plan off the bat was to get to the Patriots, because it's really weird how, like, an hour after he released, he's on the team. He's screaming excited about getting out of there and being released. I 100% agree with you, Jace.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, it's
We're
insane.
on your side.
Yeah, we're all together now. We've all been fucked
Bill-
by AB,
Bill Belichick
which
claimed he
also
didn't
is
know.
another thing that's going on.
Yeah. Bill Belichick claimed he didn't know Andrew Luck had retired for 2 days, but yet AB's released, and within 4 hours of him being released, he's a New England Patriot.
Yeah.
You're full of shit.
Yeah. So I mean, I just think that there's, like I said, there's no more loyalty to a team. And I preached a few weeks ago about my rage rant about how the Steelers front office is all traditional and all this stuff, but there isn't much of that left. So I kind of get it. I understand that. But I think it's moving in a bad direction. I think the league is when your team goes 0-2 and everybody wants to bail ship. And I think the Dolphins really played into that way too much with this. Trade away all their good players. They're gathering picks. And you know what? I'm blaming the Browns for all this because they're the ones that started it a few years ago, trying to acquire every first-round pick from every goddamn team out there. It's all their fault because they started this trend of team tanking, getting 6 first-round picks, and then rebuilding their team in 2 years like we would do on Madden.
Yeah.
So I just don't like the way the integrity of players versus owners is going. Kevin, Andy, you got anything to add?
Go ahead, Andy.
Okay, I was going to say, I just think that it's the NBA, but there's 11 players on the field at a time. There's 22 players on the field plus your special teams, everything. You got 53 people. This isn't 5 people in a quarter.
Right.
So, I mean, the salary cap hits harder in the NFL than it does the NBA. Because, I mean, obviously the NFL's salary cap keeps growing, but, I mean, the NBA keeps growing to exponential regions. So, I mean, this does hurt the NFL. I hate it. I absolutely despise it because, like, not only are, like, these people getting paid more than, like, anybody can ever even imagine, but, I mean, they're... I don't know. I'm biased. I'm biased on it, I guess, because it's
it just pisses you off.
Yeah, it does.
It just really pisses
you have this.
you off.
You have this great opportunity, and I mean, I understand losing sucks, and I understand like there are situations like Jalen Ramsey's situation. I completely understand that. I mean, he's fighting with the coach. It's not going well for him there, but I mean, it's just. It's not a good situation for Jalen Ramsey. It's not a good situation for the NFL in general.
But, okay, I guess, Kevin, you got something to add?
Yeah, now I'm going to tell you guys why you're all wrong. Jalen Ramsey incident is Jalen Ramsey was involved in a play where they called a catch, came over and sideline and told his coach, that's not a catch, throw the flag. Coach refused to throw the flag. Jalen Ramsey then was pissed off, and then the coach decided to go over and try to have a little pissing match with Jalen Ramsey on the sideline, and Jalen's now saying, you know what, the hell with this. I don't believe in this coach anymore. I want to go elsewhere. Completely reasonable and understandable. Antonio Brown's situation, completely different than anything else either, than a lot of these other things as well. And the Patriots and Bill Belichick, there needs to be some answers to some questions on this shit because this was a setup from the fucking word go. And it's very obvious. I mean, stuff's coming out about how Antonio Brown was crowdsourcing how to get released from the Raiders.
Yeah, he was
before
training camps or anything.
Yeah,
specialist.
He social media crowdsourced how to speed up the process. So he was obviously on this train well before he even got there. So that's a whole different story. And like I said, the Patriots, there needs to be an investigation into this. But the reason that I don't think this is bad for the NFL is because, one, everybody's sucking on the power teat and just listening to what the NFL tells you.
Yeah.
The NFL has the lowest amount of revenue sharing between players and owners of any sport, of any of the major sports. Basketball, baseball, all have a higher percentage of revenue sharing to the players. They also provide guaranteed contracts to their players. In the NFL, the owners are not only getting more money, it's not a guaranteed contract. So if they don't,
they can void it. Everything.
Yeah, they can
Hence the
void
AB
it.
shit.
They can do what they did to AB.
They can put so much
it's a
fine print in there. If you
different-
cough wrong, they cannot pay you.
Yeah, it's a completely different situation. Now, one of the other things I'll say too, because people say this about basketball, is this bad for basketball? If you are sitting there going, listen, I don't want to play here, I want to go somewhere else, trade me. So what you're saying is, I don't want to be here anymore. Go out and go ahead and get yourself another piece of value in replace of me. And go fuck yourself, Jace.
I can't even agree with that, though, because look at how much value AB got. Look how much value some of these other guys have got. There's been ones like Fitzpatrick who gets a first round, Clowney. But then there's been ones where, like, bigger name players don't get crap.
But at the same time, so what? You keep them there. They're unhappy, so they're not going to give you their full potential on the court or on the field, or whichever sport you're talking about.
Right.
So you have a reduced level of commitment from that player where you can just turn around, get an asset for an asset, and move on instead of waiting, having an uncommitted player for 1 or 2 more years. Jalen Ramsey's on the final year of his contract. If they don't trade him, Jalen Ramsey's not re-signing. He's told you to trade him. He's not coming back.
Yeah.
So your best choice now is to, and they're trying to get 2 first-rounders. They need to suck it up and just take the one and be happy with it and move on, because that's why I think this isn't a bad thing, because you're still getting something for something. It's an exchange.
I don't necessarily.
It's an exchange of assets instead of just losing a player.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't like it. I don't like
how
well, that's because you're wrong.
Hold people hostage and just go play the damn game. You don't want to sign there. Wait till the contract's up.
Kevin,
well, you agreed with me at first when I said they're making them at-will employees, and they can just get rid of them and their money at any time they want to.
You're right.
But when they say, you know what, I don't like what you're doing, I'd like to go somewhere else, now they're in the wrong.
Yeah,
Kevin,
I see your point. I do. I'm not saying I like it.
It's good for one, but it's not good for the others.
I get it. I'm being hypocritical. I agree. I agree that I'm hypocritical.
I'm a Phoenix Suns fan, so fuck you, Kevin.
Well, okay.
Why?
We're gonna leave it at that for that.
Baby.
Obviously, we could get on that topic for a long while. I personally think it's not good that players are doing this. I see your point, though, Kevin. You do make a good point about it. I really hope it just doesn't get to that point of like. It seems like it's getting that with the Patriots and I'm going to compare them to the Golden State Warriors, where any good player is like, I'm done. I'm just going to go to the Patriots, win a few Super Bowls, then make a contract after my 2-year contract's up and make a bunch of money. Like, that's what it seems like it is, and I think that's why the Patriots still win Super Bowls like crazy, and I can't stand them for it. I wish there was a way to make it stop. And I think the only way is to have Tom Brady retire. But anyway, moving on. Briefly, I want to touch on, there's a bunch of 2-0 teams out there. Some we didn't believe in, some we did believe in. Same with 0-2 teams. Some we really had strong values on, and some we didn't. So I just want to go through quickly and say, okay, what's your 0-2 team you think is going to strongly recover? Like the Colts last year, I think they started 0-4, and then they ended up being, 11-5, I think, at the end, winning the division, going to the playoffs. Who's your 0-2 team right now that's going to surprise you? Who's your 2-0 team that's going to drop? Kevin, I'll start with you on this one.
0-2 Steelers, 2-0 Ravens. The Ravens are about to have their first loss of the season come this weekend.
They haven't played any quality competition, so we really can't get a good read on Lamar.
The Steelers, I think they're actually going to drop to, and we'll get to that here in a moment, but I think they're going to drop to 0-3 this weekend. But I think that they will recover from there. Their schedule does, aside from a few hot shots at which I don't know which week it falls, they were to play the Saints. I don't know if they're going to have Brees at that point or not. I'm pretty sure the Saints are on the schedule. Or was I wrong?
I'm not 100%.
I know they have the Rams, and that'll be a tough game. But they only have a few of those big games. The rest of it's all divisional stuff, and I think they are the best team in the division. So I think they'll pick up moving on throughout the season. the Ravens, like I said, I'm not a Lamar Jackson believer. As soon as he starts seeing an actual good defense, he played against a half decent team in Arizona last week and almost lost. So,
Jace, or Andy, what's your 0-2 team? What's your 2-0 team?
That was pretty much exactly it. Other than I think the Bills are going to keep rolling.
Wow.
Yeah.
So. Obviously they're not going to take the division. The Patriots are probably just going to win the Super Bowl again.
Well, I don't know about
ruin
that.
The season for everybody.
As I mentioned in our text chat the other day, the Buffalo Bills have beaten both of the New York teams in New York within 2 weeks, and the last 4 teams to do so went to the Super Bowl. The only 4 teams to do so have gone to the Super Bowl.
It was the Buffalo Bills, wasn't it? And they lost all those Super Bowls, didn't they?
No. The Dallas Cowboys.
Josh Allen's headed for the Pro Bowl, baby. I'm telling you. That's all I got. Jace.
All right.
I really fuck you, Andy, because I hate to do this, but out of all the teams that are going to go 3-0 this week, the Bills play the Bengals, and Josh Allen is going to put on a master class against Andy Dalton. And I do, as much as I just talked off Mason Rudolph, I hate to say it, Steelers got to travel clear to the West Coast where they're historically not good and play the San Francisco 49ers, who just had a pretty good game last week. I see the Steelers falling 0-3.
All right. My personal pick here, I'm talking standing league-wise, like for the year, not just next week. But I think that I hate to go with everybody else, but I feel like the Ravens are a poser at 2-0. I don't think they are as good as their record looks. I just don't think they've played quality teams. The Steelers' schedule is very front-end heavy. The Ravens' schedule is very back-end heavy. So I don't think that they're going to do well. The 0-2 team that I think is just being overlooked, that that is going to do a lot better. It's tough because there's a lot of bad 0-2 teams, and I don't want to go with the Steelers, but I'm going to have to because they're not any good 0-2 teams out there right now. I don't see the Panthers are going to improve, but
depending on Cam Newton.
Yeah, if Cam Newton's out for a while, and obviously the Cardinals are 0-1. I think they're going to be better this year, but their division may be the strongest division in the whole NFC, with the Rams, Niners, and Seahawks all 2-0 right now. But I think that if I had to pick somebody outside the AFC North as a 2-0 poser, I'm going with probably the Seahawks. And the reason I say that is they played some struggling teams, Bengals and the Steelers. Their offensive line does not look great. Their defense isn't the Legion of Boom anymore. I feel like you're going to see this team level out and come down a few games.
They barely won those 2 games, too.
Correct. Yeah. Andy Dalton threw for like 400 yards on him. So.
Yeah, 450 yards.
That's just insane to me. All right, guys. Well, it is time to take our picks for the week. So, I'm going to start with our Thursday night game. We are right at about 58 minutes, so I'm going to let you give me a quick little tidbit of why you are wanting this team to win or how you think it's going to happen. Thursday night, we have Jacksonville and Tennessee. I personally think that Jacksonville is going to recover. I think Gardner is going to actually make some moves here. So I'm going with Jacksonville on this one.
Jace.
Yes, Jace, Kevin, then Andy. That's the order. So, Jace, what do you think? Jacksonville, Tennessee.
Tighten up. That defense is too good. They're going to pick apart Gardner Minshew.
Ooh, okay. All right. Kevin?
It's Andy.
No, I said it goes Jace,
You said Jace,
Kevin,
Andy, Kevin. Oh, whatever.
No, I did not.
All right. Well, who do you Minshew, bitch? Gardner Minshew is going to come out, and I think he's going to hand a whooping to the Tennessee Titans.
Okay. Kevin goes with the Jags as well. Andy, what do you got for me?
I'm still going with my early prediction. The Titans are going to beat the shit out of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
That defense is too good to be messed with.
All right, we're split even. Me and Kevin both going with the Jags, and Jason, Andy going with the Titans. We have the 2-0 Buffalo Bills, or Cincy 0-2 Cincy going into the 2-0 Buffalo Bills. I have to pick the Bills in this one. I think this team is actually a lot better than people are making out to. I think they're going to keep it rolling. What do you got for me, Jace?
You already heard me a minute ago. Circle the wagons.
What?
That's Buffalo. Nobody circles
Buffalo.
the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Jesse, come
Okay.
on.
whatever.
Chris
I've never heard that
Berman,
one.
come on now.
I've never heard
Yeah.
that
Pull
one.
it together.
Okay. Anyway, Kevin.
Okay, John Ross is going to have his head removed and shoved up his ass by the Buffalo Bills defense, and then their running back room is going to run over the Bengals defense. So,
Do they have Wendell Smallwood on their running back room?
I think he might be. They late
Frank-
addition for the Buffalo
Hey,
Bills this
Frank
week.
Gore was a priority free agent in fantasy this week. I just want
He
to
was. Andy, are you going with the Bills as well, I assume?
Circle the wagons, baby. Get them going.
All right. Next up, 0-2 Miami going into the 2-0 Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if I even actually have to ask you guys this question.
Yeah, we can just move to the next
Yeah,
game.
just
Go
move
to
over
the
to
next
the
one.
next
Move on.
game. Cowboys are going to crush.
Piling on.
Piling on.
At this point, we can call
Cock
piling
pulling.
on the NFL piling on the Dolphins.
Stop it, he's dead already.
He wasn't ready. Okay, a lot of 0-2 teams going against 2-0 teams this week. 0-2 Denver going against 2-0 Green Bay. It was tough that Denver lost that game. I was very surprised. I actually turned it off, and then I looked at my thing and I was like, "Wait, what?" So that was crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like Green Bay's defense is too good. I got to go the Packers on this one. Jace, what do you got for me?
I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at home.
Kevin?
I really want to pick Denver, but I got to go Green Bay.
Packers at home is difficult. Andy, what do you got?
You know it. The cheese, baby.
Go with the cheese. All right, Packers for everyone there. I got the 1-1 Atlanta Falcons at the 1-1 Jacoby Brissett-led Indianapolis Colts. I'm not a believer in this Atlanta Falcons team. I was early. I really thought so, but this team is just so bipolar. I have to go with Jacoby. I think every single week he's going to improve, and by the end of the season, we're going to be talking about him a lot. Colts it is for me. Jace, what do you got?
As far as I go, I'll tell you in 1 second. I'm going to take, like I said, I didn't watch any of the Falcons-Eagles game. I'll take the Falcons.
Falcons. Kevin.
Once again, we're looking to separate ourselves from the losers in this group. Me and Jace are in agreement.
Okay. Falcons it is. Good. I get to gain 2 games on Jace. Andy, what's up? What do you got?
Dirty birds, baby.
Wow. I'm the only Colt believer in this group. I can't wait to win that game and shut you all down. All right. So we have the 2-0 Baltimore Ravens going into the 2-0 Kansas City Chiefs. This is the graphic I was talking about. Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson are like neck and neck on their stats right now. This is the first, I wouldn't even say this is the first defensive test you're getting, but this is the first good team they're playing. I don't think the Chiefs defense is that great, but I think they're going to have a big answer for Lamar Jackson because they go against Patrick Mahomes every day. So Chiefs it is for me. This team may be going 16-0 this year. Jace, what do you got?
A little bit of vomit in my mouth after you said that. But I hate to say it, but Chiefs at Arrowhead, like you said, I think they're going to have the film on Lamar. They're going to bring him down to earth a little bit. Chiefs win.
All right, Kevin, what do you got?
I'm going with the Chiefs, and not only because I think they're the better team, but they're the better coach team. What we saw out of Kansas City last week was they started out getting their asses handed to them by Oakland, and then they made the coaching adjustments to win that game. They'll do the same thing if Baltimore starts out good and shut them down.
I like it. Andy, what do you got?
Chiefs in Arrowhead. I think it's going to be a shootout, but Chiefs definitely come out on top.
All right, unanimous at Chiefs. All right, we're gonna move. Let's see, what do we got? Minnesota or Oakland at Minnesota. This one's a very difficult game to pick because both have they're both 1-1. Oakland showed a lot of potential, and Minnesota has got Kirk Cousins. So you know what? Just because I said that, I'm going Raiders on this one.
And exactly.
Can they stop Dalvin Cook?
As soon as that came out of your mouth, Kirk Cousins, I think this past defense rebounds. We only gave up 28 points to Patrick Mahomes, and if you would have watched that game, we should have given up a lot more points than that. I think Kirk Cousins, were his week 1 stats, he went, 8 for 10?
Yeah.
They're going to have to run the ball. This defense is very good against the run. I think Oakland wins.
All right, what do you got for me, Kevin?
Oakland by a lot.
Ooh, by a lot.
Ooh.
They're out to make a point. A point.
Andy, what do you got for me?
I'm going to take the Vikes in this one just because I think Kirk Cousins has to have a rebound game at some point. I'm going to take the Vikings in every game this season, I think.
Okay, then.
Especially if it's against the Raiders.
Another game that I don't even think I have to mention, the Jets. You like that one? Over at the Foxborough Patriots. I'm not even going to ask you guys.
Don't ask.
Luke Falk, let's go.
Yeah.
Who?
Luke.
All right, we have the 1-0-1 Detroit Lions at the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this home game for the Eagles, it's going to kind of swing things in the right direction. Carson Wentz talked about, I'm not going to play timid after they talked about how he plays recklessly. He will be injured by the end of the season. And one of these games where we pick him going to blowout, he'll get injured in it and they'll lose. But I'm going with the Eagles nonetheless. I do not believe in this Detroit team. Jace.
Eagles, you're at home. 1:00 game at Lincoln Financial.
Going to be a lot of drunk Phillies there.
The crowd will bully you into winning the game. So,
all right, Kevin, what do you got?
Jace, you know anything about the injury report for the wide receiver group in Philly?
Deshaun Jackson's out for 2 to 3 weeks. I know that much.
Okay. I'm going to go with Philly still. I think it's going to be a close one, though.
All right. What do you got, Andy?
I mean, Kevin brings up the injury report, and he doesn't swing it the other way. I don't get it.
Do you understand why you're picking them is wrong, and I'm also going to pick them too? Fuck you.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's always sunny in Philadelphia.
There we go.
So
another unanimous for the Eagles. I like those ones on weird games that I'm not sure about because that means I'm not going to lose to you guys.
Yeah.
All right, Carolina at Arizona Cardinals. I think this may be the chance for the Cardinals to actually win a game and get Kyler Murray his first win. I think he's had a lot of late game comebacks. Larry Fitzgerald looks like Larry Fitzgerald from 10 years ago. I think this Cardinals team is going to win this one. What do we got, Jace?
As much Cliff Kingsbury hate as I have spewed on this show, I don't know. I really haven't seen what Cam's. Is he going to play this week?
I don't know that he is going to.
I haven't been. Regardless, it's Kyler Murray against either Cam Newton, Hurt, or Taylor Heineke, or whoever the hell their backup is. Last I checked, I'm going to take the Cardinals.
I'm surprised they don't have Will Grier in there.
He's prepared for the start. I forget what his name is.
Oh, he's starting. It's
That's
already
bad.
been announced. He's starting. Cam's not going to be playing.
Gotcha.
That has not been announced, I don't think, has it?
Yes, it has.
All right, Kevin.
The Arizona Cardinals in their first 2 games started out slow and then made the adjustments to come back in those games and almost won both of them. I have a feeling that this time they're going to start out slow and Carolina's not going to score. So they'll just go ahead and run away with the game once they make their adjustments.
So Cardinals it is. Andy, what do you got?
Carolina has a pretty decent defense sometimes, but the Cardinals are going to win it.
All right. Let me tell you why I want to go this way, but I'm going to go this way.
That's what I was doing with the Philly-Detroit thing.
There you go. So next up, we got another 4 o'clock game with the Giants at Tampa Bay. 0-2 Giants at the 1-1 Tampa Bay. I don't think Daniel Jones gets a win off his first game. I got to go with the home team on this one with the Bucs. I just don't feel that Jones is going to be able to come in there and make up for that poor of a defense. Jace, what do you got?
Giants don't have anybody left to pick Jameis off, so Buccaneers.
All right. Kevin, what do you got?
Well, there's nobody there to pick them off. That just means they'll fall harmlessly to the turf and be incomplete passes and they'll have to punt the ball. So I think Saquon straps his team onto his back and gets the Giants their first win.
Okay. I like it. Andy, what do you got?
Jameis Winston is an NFL quarterback. So I'm going to have to go with Danny J.
Ooh.
And he's going to blow it up.
We got 2 Giants picks with Danny J getting his first start. He's going to be 1-0, they're saying. Next one up is another 4 o'clock Houston 1-1 at the LA Chargers 1-1. Houston actually looks kind of scary right now. Chargers has always kind of looked scary. This is a tough game to pick. But when I get into a situation where I can't choose, I go with the home team. So I'm going with the Chargers in this one. Although their home games aren't really home games.
Chargers, I will go with the Texans.
Okay, Texans is for Jace. What do you got, Kevin?
I don't know how we can go against Houston, against the Chargers when the Chargers just lost to Detroit. So Houston it is.
All right, Texans it is. And Andy, what do you got for me?
I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and roll with the Texans, I guess.
Ooh, 3 for the Texans. I got 2 games now that I'm the only one that picked a team. That's kind of scary to me. New Orleans Saints against Seattle. New Orleans obviously going to be having Bridgewater play. I think Seattle actually is going to be able to stop Bridgewater. I don't know. I don't know if I have faith in Bridgewater. I have more faith in Hill than I do Bridgewater. I'm going with the Seahawks at home.
I'm going to continue with the trend where these 50-50 games, I'm just going to go against you because you're always wrong. So,
okay.
I'm going to take the Saints in this one. I'm rolling with Teddy Bridgewater.
All right. Kevin, what do you got?
Okay, so me and Jace had a good thing going last week, but I can't stick with them on this one. Seattle it is.
All right, Seahawks. What do you got, Andy?
Going with the Deep South, baby.
All right, Saints it is. I hate when you guys don't tell me the name because you're like...
Yeah, please don't do that because you're counting on Jesse and geography.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, what? Where's Washington?
Where's deep?
Counting on his English.
What is the Deep South? Is there a Venezuelan football team?
Did Seattle move to Mexico?
Yeah.
All right, next one up. The Pittsburgh Steelers 0-2 at the San Francisco 49ers, another 4 o'clock game. I feel like Mason – I am biased on this one, so I am going to go Steelers. But I feel like Mason is going to come out and surprise some people and have a really fantastic game. I think he's going to throw 3 touchdowns, 2 of which may be to tight ends. What do you got, Jace?
The best thing I've seen today, I saw a tweet. It was Steelers fans. Baker Mayfield should calm down. He shouldn't be so cocky. He hasn't won shit yet. He shouldn't be, like this, blah, 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 blah. Steelers fans also. Mason Rudolph invented the game of football. You guys are the biggest biased pieces of shit ever. I understand Mason Rudolph's going to be good, but he's not going to be good in this game. I know from a fact, Ben Roethlisberger alone playing shit Oakland Raider teams is 0-4 on the West Coast against us. You're taking the entire team out west.
Ain't no Ben there now.
You guys are going to lose. You're going 0-3.
Kevin, what do you got?
Yes, we're such biased pieces of shits that I'm picking the San Francisco 49ers to win this game.
Thank you.
Mason Rudolph, I think he's going to have – I think this is actually going to be a pretty decent game. He's going to have a good game, but But I think this much improved San Francisco team at least gets to him one time and gets a turnover off of him that takes the
Before
game.
Andy says anything, my bold prediction is I think Rudolph has a good game, but I think he throws a pick or has a turnover late and costs.
Yeah, that is exactly what I was just saying. That's what I think is going to happen. I think Jimmy G is throwing it all over the ball field because Patrick's not ready yet.
All right, Andy, what do you got?
Okay, well, I have to spit out that I believe I saw Jace picked up James Washington off of waivers today. So I think that because Mason Rudolph is not throwing at Richard Sherman, Mason Rudolph throws 3 touchdowns to James Washington in fucking perfect fashion, and he kills this game. So go with Pittsburgh.
Steelers.
Just because he'll be on Jace's bench. And that's the only reason I'm saying that.
Kevin, me and you can pick up a game there. So.
All right.
Yep.
So LA at Cleveland. This is going to be a real good test for Cleveland. They even last week they still
at Cleveland.
Yes, it's in Cleveland Sunday night game. They still seemed disoriented and not in sync. So I can't go with Cleveland at home against the Rams. I got to go with the Rams on this one. I still don't believe this Cleveland team has any chemistry yet. Jace?
I agree. I'm still a big believer on the Browns, but you can't bet against a team who was the NFC's representatives in the Super Bowl last year. Rams, and I think it's by a wide margin.
All right. Kevin?
Yeah, I think Aaron Donald is going to completely demolish Baker Mayfield the entire game. Their offensive line has looked very terrible against what I think are below par defenses. I don't think Tennessee's as good as Cleveland made them look, and the Jets really aren't that good. So it's going to be Rams and Rams big.
All right. And Andy, what do you got?
Horns, baby. I am a firm believer in Jared Goff, actually.
There we go. I was always a big fan of Jared Goff myself.
I'm a big fan of Jared Goff.
Monday night game is Chicago at Washington. This is a tricky game because I think Washington's one of those teams that's 0-2 that's kind of on the fringe of winning a few and being more of a 500 team than anything. I don't think they're going to stay 0-2 long. But unfortunately, they are going to go 0-3. So I think the Bears pull it together. Trubisky actually starts looking like a NFL quarterback, and this team wins. What do you got for me, Jace?
I think this Bears defense is good enough that Mitch Trubisky still doesn't look like an NFL quarterback because he is not an NFL quarterback. But once again, as we saw, Trent Dilfer can win a Super Bowl. Anybody can win a Super Bowl. If he can score, I think, 13 points, he probably wins this game.
All right.
As much as I love Case Keenum.
All right, Kevin, who you got?
Well, I also love Case Keenum, and I think Case Keenum is going to win this game. Him and old Father Time, Adrian Peterson himself, will pull this one out and Chicago a loss. They almost lost to Denver last week, so I have way more faith in Washington than I do Denver.
They do have a kicking game now, though. Andy, what do you got for me?
I have nothing but the uttermost faith in Eddie Pinheiro, and I think this is going to be a field goal classic, as they would call it, and I think the Bears come out on top.
It's going to be a field goal slobber knocker.
Yeah.
Eddie Pinheiro.
Pinheiro. Former Raider.
All right, so we have the Bears for Andy there. Everything looks good. I got all the picks in now. We will be posting that online here shortly. Stay tuned for that. That's all we got today. We actually finally got the show a little under control, so no more 2-hour shows. We went a little long because people like to ramble, but we'll get that fixed. We're getting there, man. Stay
Hour
with us.
38.
Hour 18 there, buddy. So stay with us. We're gonna be good. We're gonna get this show under an hour. That way you can actually listen to something.
I think hour 18 is just fine.
Yeah, I think we're doing great. So stick with us, guys. We have plenty more coming. Obviously, there's a ton of topics we had to hit on today. We stayed brief and everything, but
everybody's
we're gonna
keep
keep
it going,
and there's gonna be plenty of stuff to go for the future. Thank you always as my panel. Also, follow us on Facebook. You can watch or listen to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and always we'll be posting this to YouTube as usual. So stay tuned. We'll have more to come. See you next week on Wednesday. Over and out.